Everyone, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our ISO 27001 masterclass. Cool. Now, in this masterclass, it's a four-day masterclass. So, in day one, we discussed about ISO 27001 lead implementer. What are the roles and responsibility of a lead implementer is? We discussed about ISMS. What is an information security management system? What are the objectives of an ISMS? And what is the approach to implement an ISMS? Okay, now today we are going to discuss about the mission, objective, and strategies to obtain ISMS, to go for an ISO 27001. What will be the mission of an organization? What will be their objective? What will be their strategies? Okay, along with that, we are going to discuss about boundaries of an ISMS, implementing ISMS scope statement, and implementation of an ISMS. Again, it's a step-by-step approach. So this will be our agenda: mission, objective, strategies, boundaries of an ISMS, ISMS scope statement, and implementation of an ISMS. When we talk about an implementation, so first thing we need to understand what is the mission of an organization, what are their objectives, what are the values, and what are their strategies. Okay, so based on that, we can create the policies for the organization. Okay, we can go with an achievement of an information security objective as per to your policy. Okay, so let's deep dive. Let's understand what are these things. So when I talk about this overview of an organization, so before we implement anything, we should understand this completely. We should understand how what organization has been thinking. Okay, what policy, what procedures they have been obtaining. For example, let me give you the same example of an InfosecTrain. So InfosecTrain, if I want to implement any this ISO 27001, so before implementing, I need to understand what InfosecTrain has been doing. Okay, so first I will be getting an overview of an organization in order to understand the information security challenges. Okay, so what challenges organization may face, what will be their inherent risk. Okay, so we will mark those the segments. Okay, so we will get the general information about the perspective of an organization. Okay, so it will help us to get better this approach towards the mission, towards the strategies. That is the main purpose. Okay, so first is your mission is what? The mission will going to justify and it is going to define the organization existence. Okay, so what they are going to serve as per as reference to everyone, for example, the organization is been holding to what they have been providing, what are the main agenda. Okay, till what level they want to go. So we are going to understand the mission of that organization, then this particular strategies, objective, values, we also call it as an implication of information security management. Okay, now implication is what? The general information security management will going to aim or going to support the organization to fulfill its mission. Okay, because end of the day we are trying to protect the assets. Okay, now with the help of an implementation of an ISMS, we can protect those valuable assets for the organization. Okay, so therefore we align this organization mission with the ISMS. Okay, post to that, we need to understand the value as well. Values are what? Values are your fundamentals. Okay, which is going to give you the brief. Okay, so that what all member of the organization are been influenced by any particular behavior or by any particular individual or not. Okay, then we go with an implication again. Implication of an information security management with the values. The values will be by choice, by profession, by security management. Okay, so we are going to prioritize those policy in terms to evaluate those information security risk. Then is your strategies. Strategies is containing what? Strategies will be containing the defined sequence. What action or what action they are going to take if there any implication or if there is any significant threat has been coming into the organization or to achieve the goals. So what is the step-by-step approach that will going to give you a good strategic form. Okay. Now, when we implicate or when we align controls with this strategy, so we choose the result, we choose the point of an action depending on to the information security strategies as well. Okay. Now, based on to the organization mission, strategies, values, what we are going to do, we are going to determine the ISMS objective. To implement ISMS, we need to understand the objective of the organization, which is going to improve risk management, which is going to help in more effective way to go with an information security. Again, it is going to give an extra advantage as well. Okay. Now, this implementation of an ISMS is going to improve your management risk. Is going to improve your risk management as well. Not only that, with the implementation of an ISMS, it improve the effectiveness of information security management, and it will going to give an extra advantage. Okay, the objective of an ISMS, we will going to express that organization intend to identify the risk. Not only that, they comply with the set of and requirement. Okay, and based on to that, they implemented the ISMS. Okay, that was the main objective, that was the main agenda for the organization. Okay. Now, when we choose the objective, there are few things which we have to take care of. Okay, the security objective, we call it as a security objective. First, we will be very much consistent with the information security policy. We will be measuring all the applicable security policies. We will be taking it into an accounting as well. Okay, whether this policy need to be applicable or not, what are the security requirement, what are the how the risk assessment has been done, how is the risk treatment plan is been obtained, and that will be monitored. Okay, again and again, because we are going with an PDCA. If you remember, yesterday we had discussed about the PDCA cycle: plan, do, check, and act. Okay, so what we are doing, we are monitoring this all the compatibility. So when we are going with an implementation, that need to be monitored as well down the line, whether we are following the correct plan or not. Okay, because every day there is a new challenge, and this challenge can be and there can be an particular risk to those challenges as well. So what we have to do, we have to go with a continuous improvement program. Okay, so that need to be monitored. Further to that, it need to be communicated as well. Okay, while doing and risk assessment, we identified some problem, and post to that, what we are going to do, we are going to share those report with the top management, and top management is going to decide how this risk to be treatment. So for that, we have a risk treatment plan. Okay, so all this information need to be documented. That is again the main thing. When we talk about an implementation associated with the documentation. Okay, so each and everything need to be documented. So organization will going to retain or will going to look will going to have all those documentation related to your information security objective. Okay, how it is been done, what it has been done. Okay, so generally we asked 5 questions. Let's suppose implemented a policy. Who, what, when, where, how, who has implemented this, what has been implemented, when is this policy has been implemented, where it has been implemented, and how it has been implemented. Okay, so when we plan to achieve any security objective for the organization, so we should determine this thing: what need to be implemented, who need to be implemented, when it need to be implemented, where it need to be implemented, and how it will be implemented. Okay, so with the help of this, what we can do, we can achieve those particular areas. Now, when we are determining this ISMS objective, okay, so there are few things which again need to be considered. For example, we ensure as an auditor, as an implementer, we ensure that we are compliant with the regulators, the regulatory, we are compliant with the legal department as well, with contractual obligations as well. Okay, we inspire some confidentiality as well for the organization with the trusted party, that the information is been kept secret. We are not going to share any information, as I am working as an external, you can say external implementer. I was been hired by the organization, so we make sure that information is kept private. Okay, and it is been protected as well. So protecting the organization critical asset. That's why we implemented this ISMS. Okay, we make sure, all the implementer make sure that information security is been followed and it is been monitored as well. Again, it is going with an implemented program. Okay, so there is a response team who is going to take care about the any security incident, which can reduce the cost as well, cost of any further information security incident, because by default we have the set of a team who has been working on it. Okay, so all these things need to be determined when we try to achieve the ISMS objective. Okay, now next thing, first what we did, we understood about the organization. Okay, what is the work culture of the organization, what are the process inside the organization, what are their mission, what strategies they have been obtaining, what are their objectives. So we understood about the organization. Based on to that, what we decided, what we did, we understood, we are going with an ISMS objective. Now once we have that thing in place, after that we are going to identify and analyze the business requirement as well. That will be our next step. Okay, now the organization is going to take this particular business into an accountability. Related to that, what we are going to do, or what requirement that organization is going to meet: legal and regulatory, standard requirement, market and internal policies. Okay, now it is very much important to identify and take into take this requirement into an accountability as well, so the organization could not influence uh, the implementation of an ISMS. Okay, so they can make or they must be including the risk assessment process as well. Okay, in order to analyze the risk, in order to identify the risk. So what we are doing, we are understanding the legal and regulatory compliance. Now what are this legal and regulatory? The organization must comply with the applicable law as per to the state, as per to the country. Okay, applicable law, applicable regulatory, because in most of the country the implementation of an ISO standard is again a voluntary decision. It's not a legal requirement. If you want to adopt it, yes, you can go, you can do it. It's not a mandatory process. Okay, so in such a way we have to cross verify those things. In that case, the law will take the precision. They are going to view those standards. Okay, so first we go with an control, legal control, regulatory control. Okay, all this requirement need to be attached or need to be identified. Okay, if we are adding those control, again it need to be documented. Why we are doing this? Because we have to make sure that it is coming under to the legal requirement. Okay, related to information security, there is a guidance as well, guidance standard, which is again giving you some identification. Okay, so taking all thing into an consideration, we are adopting this ISMS implementation. Okay, next thing are your standards. Now organization must comply with the international standard and the code of practice as well. Okay, as per your industry sector. So when we are going with an implementation of regulatory framework, again it's a voluntary choice for the information security management point of view. Okay, so they will be becoming an obligations to the to comply with the risk or you can say, if we are not opting this standard, might be in possibilities we will be losing the certification in that case, because it's a serious failure. Okay, so we have to obligate all those things. Then is your market. Now market has what? Market requirement. Okay, now this market requirement is going to include your contractual obligation that the organization has signed with the interested party. If there is any breach of an contractual obligation, it may result to certain penalties as well. Okay, the contract will be violated or will be voided. Okay, so it is going to be the organization may face some serious issue like civil suit or some other damages. So market requirements are what? Market requirements are giving you some implicate rules for the organization, so the organization can fulfill those rules or fulfill those requirements in order to conduct the business. Okay, then we have is your internal policies. Now these internal policies are what? These are your formulated principle, rules, guidelines which we set. Okay, for example, to hire any particular person, HR team, what they are going to do, they are going to cross verify what are the requirement. Based on to the requirement, there will be an interview. Based on to the interview, the person will be selected, and after that the roles and responsibilities will be aligned to that particular person. There will be a background verification. Now these are what we created the policy, and we are following those policies. Okay, background verification, the hiring of a person who has been doing that hiring. HR team has been doing an hiring. Now what things they have been following? They are following the strategies. Okay, approaching towards a LinkedIn profile, approaching towards your other this job profiles, and from there they are collecting the information. Okay, so there is a set of a rule has been aligned. So in by the they are going by the book, by the rule, not violating any particular policies. Okay, and again without involving into any legal consideration as well. That's why we have an internal policies. Okay, we have an principle, we have a sort of set of a rule. The guidelines have been set. Okay, so we analyze those guidelines, we analyze those internal policies to identify, to analyze the business requirement. Once we understood about the business requirement, after that what we are going to do, we are going to check with the legal and regulatory requirement. Okay, now these are the major things which need to be monitored again. So in general, these are your, you can say, the desirable aspect in information security work, like your legal advisory, to identify or to analyze or to explain the security issues which have been involved. Okay, so we can discuss this thing with the lawyer to analyze the operation mode, to analyze the network monitoring system. So later down the line, the asset, whether those assets have been violating certain privacy law or any internal regulatory law of the organization, so they can give their input over there. If there is any privacy issue, financial obligation, or corporate governance set of and requirement, expert requirement have been used. So while monitoring this thing, while monitoring the IT infrastructure, we can respond to that action. Okay. So what do we have? We have data protection. Now in several countries, several specific laws have been existing to cover or to safeguard your confidential data. Okay, so definitely there will be limited controls as well presented for the personal data. For example, we have GDPR, General Data Protection Regulatory in Europe. Okay, in the same way, the security incident must be related to individual who have been causing. So there will be a personal information. Now this personal information again need to be subjected. Okay, so it need to be structured, that how, what is the identification, how we are going to go with an identity management, this identity management security incident related to an insecurity incident. Okay, so therefore we manage all this most appropriate measures to protect your personal data or to protect any particular information for the organization, for the individual. Then is your privacy. Now privacy is what? It's again a compliance with applicable law. Again, with multiple many organizations will be choosing how it need to be established, how we are going to establish the policy related to your protection or privacy. So these have been designed in such a way. So well, let's suppose there is an increase, there is an again there is a lot of an incident has been happening into the into that premises. So what we are going to do, we are going to increase the awareness program. Okay, so this awareness training program is been provided. Then we go with the legal and business, we check with the legal and business requirement. Okay, now how this particular identification has been treated, what protection plan they have been establishing. So it need to be clear when we establish certain policies, and what are the treatment plan the organization has been having. Okay, so this will give you again a good picture related to your legal and related to your regulatory obligations as well. Now next is your computer crimes. Okay, so as of now everyone has been connected with a device. Okay, and our information has been stored into a device. Now that device is coming with a cost. Okay, so that is again an asset. Now that asset can have a significant threat as well. Now that threat can come through an internet as well, or physical as well. Okay, so identify what kind of a threat will be there for that asset. Okay, so we are using a laptop, it is coming under to your computer crimes. The threat can be over an internet, or threat can be over and physical as well. Okay, so damage can be devastated as well. There can be direct financial cost or loss of reputation, or there will be a you can say a multiple data loss as well, because I am storing lot of an information in my laptop. Okay, and this is my office laptop, and you can imagine if the individual person is been associated with an accounts team, and he has been taking care about all the accountability of an accounts, and all the crucial information has been stored in his laptop. Now you can imagine the damages if that particular device has been compromised. Okay, so we understand all this architecture, and based on this architecture, we implement all the necessary the countermeasures. Okay, so under to what compliant, or under to what applicable laws this particular legal and regulatory conformity has been coming. So we try to understand from an organization perspective, so we can implement the policies. Okay, then there are your digital signature. Nowadays in day-to-day life, what we are doing, we are sending the emails. Okay, so that email should be verified, and it should be falling under the country consideration as well, that email is been sent by the authoritative person. So for that we add a digital signatures. Okay, your electronic, we call it as an electronic records for an safety purpose. Okay, so again there is a standard ISO 14721, which is giving specific information related to your system open archival information. This is again a reference model. So you can adopt those reference model to monitor all these electronic records. Okay, to trace the evidence. Okay, if there is any context which has been failing, or which will be considered under to n case, under the case of yes, you can say regulatory. So we can identify those failure. Okay, then we have is your intellectual property. Now intellectual properties are what? Again, it need to be identified, it need to be recognized as per your national and international conventions. Okay, so first identify the intellectual properties, and then go and then protect those intangible assets. We also call it as an intangible asset. So for a small or medium organization, there will be efficient use of an human intellectual properties, which is going to help them to go big. Okay, so intellectual property will be having a great potential in terms of legal protections as well, information technologies. we say it as information technology. So the goal will be to strengthen all these intellectual properties. Okay, so if we want to add and control, understand about the data protection of the organization, how the data has been protected. Now, under to what compliant, legal compliant is data protection we can adopt. Okay, so this organization has been setting into which location. Based on to that location, we try to understand the legal and regulatory compliant for that organization. What are the legal and regulatory compliant for the privacy, for the computer crime, for the digital signature, for the intellectual property? If they are making an online transaction, any electronic payment, again, in most of the countries, they are quite essential to again, there are some legal standpoint in most of the countries, which is quite essential to prove in the court that the customer bought this product or bought this the service, or this service has been sold by the organization. Now, whether how they are going to claim this, okay, or how they are going to go with and satisfy those tax authority. So again, there is a big difference between an electronic commercial and a trade by paper. So if and there is an electronic payment, so we need to provide a proof as well if there is any physical damage or if there is any electronic damage. Okay, so how the transaction has been done and from where the transaction has been done. Now, when we are talking about a transaction, it's again an electronic payment. So that that particular website or that particular organization is storing the information of your card. Now, under to what legal and regulatory laws they have been storing the information? Is it safe to do a transaction or not? Okay, so identify those things. If they are having an this particular license to it, then only they can allow the transaction. If they don't have a license, they cannot do a transaction. So multiple legal and regulatory conformities have been coming into the picture. If there is an email account, this electronic payment is been handled by the organization. Based on to that, there will be an implementation of the controls. Okay, then we have is your record management. All the record need to be stored somewhere, and how they are maintaining and updating all those record, all those activities. Is there any review system? So to review, what do? We do an internal audit. Okay, we cross verify all these records. Okay, now what I said, everything need to be documented, and that documentation will be kept as and records. And why it is been kept as a record? Whenever there is an internal audit or external audit, so auditor can cross verify those records. Okay, what is the data protection plan? What is the privacy protection plan? What are the computer crime plan? Digital signatures, intellectual property plan, electronic payment plan, everything need to be documented. So we can identify, we can analyze all those documents, where how they had adapted this legal and regulatory compliant, and how they are how they had implemented the control against to this. So once we understand about the organization, legal and regulatory this conformity, after that we are going to determine some of the primary scopes. Okay, so we also call it as in boundaries. Boundaries to apply the ISMS, boundaries to establish the scope. Okay, so there are certain factors as well. Again, when we talk about the primary scope, so there will be an internal external the external internal issues which will be described. Okay, if there is any interested parties, again, determine those things. Okay, how the business it will be how this organization will going to is aiming to achieve the ISMS coverage. Okay, what are the functions has been running, what are how much resources have been used. Okay, resources towards your IT service, software application, any human resource management, what are the facility management of the building, physical zone. Okay, other services. Okay, so once we determine all those things into an into the scope, then we are going to check for the functions as well. Okay, or is there any outsource take any outsourcing done by the organization or any part or into any part of an organization, again include those information as well into your scope. Okay, so these are some mandate things when we go with an when we go with an establishment of an information security management for the organization, or the organization adopt it. So there are certain this mandate requirement. Okay, so once we go with an establishment of an ISMS, again it's a multi-step approach which need to be followed. First is to determine the primary scope, then determine some refined scope, determine your final scope, then approve the scope. Now this thing has been done. The approval will be given by your top management. So we are going to present our documentation to our top management, and once the top management have approved the documentation, after that what we are going to do, we are going to analyze your internal and external environment. Now to analyze the internal and external environment, there is certain methodologies to it. So let me give you a quick overview to analyze the internal and external environment. Now, what this practical advice has been saying, consider that ISO 27001 does not offer any practical approach to analyze the context of an organization. The organization is free to choose the tool, its team, which is been most appropriate. There are several methodologies which is going to help in understanding how organization has been functioning. Okay, the important thing is to identify the characteristic of internal and external factor that will influence the risk management, mission, main activities, interested party, and multiple things. So we go with an PEST. Okay, there are several modes, but we go with the political, economical, social, and technological source. Okay, to analyze, to understand the strategic approach of the organization. Okay, now this step will not be it's not a mandate thing again, as it has been written. You can there are several methodologies available, so you can use those methodologies to analyze them. So we have some frequent used model we go with. Okay, let me name some of the models as well. So we have SWOT, which is known as your strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat to analyze. Now, SWOT is used to analyze, okay, or we conduct this to analyze your organization strength, organization weakness, organization opportunity, and its threat. Okay, now this has been done for the purpose to formulate the policies to determine whether the organization should invest in the resources or not. Okay, so they can take an advantage of this opportunity, they can reduce the weakness, they can face the threat. Okay, so with the help of this, your weakness will be strengthened. Okay, so we can seek those internal issues, okay, which is going to give an opportunity. If there is any threat, so we can face those threat, we can secure our asset from those threat. Okay, so we go with strength, opportunity, weakness, and threat methodology. Okay, now next we have is your TEST. Okay, political, economical, social, technology. Now PEST will going to help us to analyze the organization market force. What is the opportunity in this following areas, into the political area, into the economical area, into the social area, into the technological area. Okay, so some authors will be having two additional categories as well, environmental and legal. Let's understand those as well. Okay, so once we understand this, once we identify all this, we can adopt any of the model, as I said. So one is your SWOT, one is your PEST, then we can adopt the 5 force analysis, We call this an Potter 5/4 analysis. Now this Potter 5/4 analysis is going to help you to examine the compete you can say the level of your competence as well. So by employee 5-factor authentication, we can analyze the business requirement. Okay, so how is the business environment within the industry? So there are 5 forces which will be consisting containing some of the intensity of rivalry against the competitor. So we can identify if there's any threat for my organization from those rivals, okay, from any particular suppliers or any from any alternative products as well. So analyze that those external environment and then adopt any terminologies. Now this is particularly for external environment. Now for an internal environment, we try to understand the structure, the main actors. Okay, main actors will be your internal employees. Okay, so understand the structure of your main actors and then define and scope related to this. Okay, so we set a strategy, we go with an steering, we go with an operation. So there will be an you can say a top management, under to and top management, there will be other management. Okay, and there will be rest of the employees. So we understand about the structure. Okay, so how this organization has been structured. Okay, so reporting based onto the reporting base. So there are the divisions, roles and responsibilities have been assigned. Let's understand the roles and responsibility based onto the functional structure of the organization, their natural work of the organization. Okay, so with the help of that, we can identify the loophole into the internal environment. Now additionally to that, we can have some control as well. For example, termination policy. If someone has been terminated on the same day, their access will be removed. If the access is not been removed, again it's creating a major loophole. Okay, that person can still access the data of the database. Okay, so the access policy, or let's suppose the if I am leaving from an organization now onto the same day, same thing is going to happen. HR team, what they are going to do, admin team, HR and admin team, what they are going to do, they are going to revoke all the access. Okay, so what controls they have been aligned, what policies they have been added. Okay, so with the help of this, we try to analyze the internal factor, and based on to that, the policies or the compliant or this particular controls will be added. Okay, so there are certain key factors, or we also call it as a key aspect, the governance, or you can say the organization structure, roles and accountabilities. Then we have some added policies, objective. So with the help of this, we can strategize what can be placed to achieve them. Okay, the capabilities, we understand about the terms of resources. For example, time, people, process, system, technology, everything will be covered under to your resources. Understand about your information system as well. Okay, followed by who is going to make a decision if there is any particular uh, internal or external threat, who will be the first responder, who will be the decision maker. Okay, so understand about organization culture, standard, guidelines, models, which has been adopted by the organization. Okay, your external contract member, or is there any relationship with your external key factors. So these are your key factors which need to be identified, which need to be understood by the implementer or by the auditor. Okay, so we also call it as an identify the key process for the organization activity, for the business process as well. So what are the key process? How we are going to identify the key process? By looking into the assets. Okay, assets inventory. Then after that, what we do? We go with a risk assessment. Okay, so which has been falling under to a high critical area, or which thing has been falling into a low area or low risk area, or which thing has been falling into a medium risk area. So we identify with an inherent risk. So once the inherent risk has been identified, we started looking over to that high risk area, and based on to that, we invest more time in that particular area. So the key process has been identified by looking at the assets, all the key assets for the organization. Okay, so that will be done with the help of the identification of an infrastructure. So when we talk about an infrastructure of an organization, what do we have? We have hardware, we have software, network, site, third-party suppliers. Now, hardware are what? These are your physical component, servers, laptop, printers. Softwares are what? These are the programs which is used to contribute foreign data processing. Operating system, your uh, account softwares. Post to that, we are using any particular Teams, email softwares. Okay. Uh, if we are using any uploading tools. Okay. So look for this. Look for all the list of the software. Then is your network. Now network is used to for the telecommunication. Okay. So these are the telecommunication equipment which is used for physical connection. Okay, physical connection for your information security information system. So we have routers, we have firewall, network cable, switches, bridge. Okay, so what all network tools has been used? Okay, network devices have been used inside the organization. Get a list of it. Now where this particular hardware, software, or network devices are being implemented, the physical location, that will be your site. Okay, where it has been operated, where it has been taken place, your office, your server rooms, your employee residencies, or into any security a secured area, or into any air conditional area. So that will be the sites which where all this particular these things have been placed. Then is your third party supplier. Now organization generally provide a product to a supplier, or they take a product from a supplier. Okay, for example, I am using a router. Now, that means I am using an internet. Now that internet is being used by whom? Who is the vendor of that particular internet? So again, there will be a supplier. Okay, there will be a list of an information about the supplier. Okay, if there is any marketing agency which we are taking help, again those marketing agency will be a supplier. Now, track, identify those suppliers. Okay, now with the help of that, we can identify, analyze those interested parties. Okay, based on to the organization. Now there will be a management team, there will be a board of directors. So board of directors is going to um, uh, have this, you can say they are going to give an approval. Let's go and have some the marketing agency to market our business, to analyze into a market where we have been standing, so we can get more and more this resources, we can get more business opportunity. Okay, so go with your the supply provider, connect with them. Okay, go strengthen your public profile. Okay, share this information with your stakeholders. Now stakeholders are the person or in the organization directly. They are going to they have been affected with each and every control. They are the person who is going to give a decision as well for all the activities. Okay, then let's suppose we are adding this third party suppliers. So who is going to give an approval, who is going to take a decision? Your stakeholders is going to take a decision. Then we have is your customer, from whom you are adopting this particular resources. Okay, now once we have all this information, then we identify and analyze your uh, requirements for the third interested parties. Okay, now who is going to do this? We have a separate project team. Okay, or you can say the implementation team. They are going to identify the interested parties, their requirement. Okay, what are the set of requirement? Is there any map for this interested party reply interested parties map relations? Okay, or any correlations with the map? So there will be a monitoring as well, related to the shift, related to the this particular requirement. Okay, so analyze all those gap, and then after that, what we are going to do, we are going to define a scope of it. Okay, now till here what we are doing, we are understanding the organization. Okay, once we have the complete information about an organization, then we are going to derive a scope for the implementation of an ISMS. Now what is an scope? The major question comes over here. What is an scope? From day one we have been talking about a lot of an scope. So as a small definition has been given onto your screen, a clear definition of a scope focusing onto the key activities of the organization. Okay, it's an important success factor for the ISMS implementation. Okay, so it will be easier to obtain the management support, mobilize the interested party for the project, and justify the added value to the interested parties. That is what your scope is. Okay, so by defining a scope, what we are doing, we are going with a continuous adopting mode. Okay, we are understanding the mission of the organization. It will be very much easy to obtain the management support and the interested parties commitments as well. Okay, so there will be an applicable areas where we are going to provide the information to the interested parties. If it is not matching to that, the value is not matching with the interest uh, to those interested parties, so we are not going to add the control, we are not going to implement the ISMS in that area. Okay, now this thing need to be cleared at first when we are going with an defining the scope for the organization. So for example, there are 2000 employees and 30 division. Okay, so now I have the information that organization is having and 2000 employees and there are 30 division inside this organization. Now it will be very much easy for me, okay, to have an understanding about the division. Already they had given me the list about the 30 division. 30 division means their process which has been running internally. Okay, now there are 30 processes, so along with that I have a documentation of all the 30 processes. I have the information about all the 2000 employees. Okay, so this is what, this is the scope given by the organization. Okay, now when we go with an implementation, what we derive a scope. Okay, we derive an architecture where the ISMS need to be implemented, in which part of an organization or to an whole organization. So scope may cover full area or scope may cover the specific area as well. So there will be an no overlapping into the first state. Okay, so once we have a clear picture where we need to identify, where we need to go with an implementation, after that we are going to set and boundaries. Okay, so there are some activities which we do into and defining the scope. Activities like defining the organization boundaries of the scope, defining the information security boundaries, then we have physical security boundaries, and then we go with an ISMS scope. Okay, so when I'm talking about boundaries of an ISMS, okay, boundaries for information system, physical, and for an organization, there are three dimensions that need to be considered. First is your information system boundaries. Okay, so over here what we do an identification of information resources. Okay, we define the security boundaries for the system. The organization will be having what, will be having a fact for going for considering certain flexibility in determining all those boundaries. Okay, for example, the major application or general supports. Okay, so this particular information resource will be containing your information related to all the resources associated inside the organization, like your personal information, information related to your equipment, information related to your budgeting. Okay, information related to the technology which has been used. Okay, related all the things. Now consider, now understand, in one process how many information systems are being used. Now that will be coming under to my scope. Okay, so we are doing an implementation into one process. Okay, so in that process, how many devices are being used? Let's suppose there are 50 devices. Along with 50 devices, there are 50 employees. Okay, along with that, there are 2 server rooms. Okay, so this will be considered as your information system, the equipments which has been used in that particular process. Okay, now once we have the list of it, then we go with an physical boundaries. Now physical boundaries of the system. Okay, like how that this particular 50 devices have been connected, where they have been connected, in what parameter they have been connected, which firewall has been used, in which building, in which city. Okay, so what are the physical security boundaries to secure those particular information system? Let's suppose 50 laptops in one process, 50 laptops have been used in one processes. Now where this laptop has been placed? Into one building. How that particular building has been secured? There will be a physical security. Okay, so what they have implemented, a control has been implemented, CCTV camera, physical security guard, access control. Okay, with the help of this particular devices are make sure they have been safe and secured. Okay, so these are your physical boundaries. Understand, get an information about those physical boundaries so we can implement a control, a step-by-step approach. Location. Okay, database, where this information is getting stored. The 50 devices is storing the information where? Into some database. Again, it will be coming under to a physical boundary. The database has been placed where? Into some premises. Your logical borders. Okay, then is your organization. So there will be two approach to define the boundaries uh, for commonly binding. So there is a realistic approach to adopt or to define the boundaries used by the user themselves. Okay, so generally we go with a common approach. In that case, we have a program manager who will be choosing the boundaries to reach to the analytical objective. So the geographic, we call it as in geographical boundaries, the office of the organization. Okay, then what time the program need to be used to run, where this desktop has been programmed. Okay, so all these practical methods has been adopted by the organization to set some boundaries. Okay, now to define some this organization boundaries, we go with 4 process. First a key process, then the department, then the whole organization, and the organization and the stakeholders. Okay, so generally we considered we go with an organization unit. That means your department, service, project, and subsidiaries, all those things which will be covering under to your first point. Then we have is your organization structure, roles and responsibilities of the managers. Okay, what are the business process? We have multiple process inside it. We have sales management, we have procedure management, we have hiring team. Okay, so all this need to be determined for, so we can have a planning in place. Okay, we can set some boundaries for at the organization level. There will be a manager for an HR department, there will be a manager for your sales department, there will be a manager for your process department. So connect with them, understand how this things has been working, so we can add additional security level to the all this department. Now once we have we understood about information system, we collected the information related to your physical security system, we collected the information related to the organization security system, then we are going to define the information security boundaries. Now quickly have a look into the picture. Now all the system component need to be taken into an account. So this focus is not to be limited to your hardware component only. Okay. Now in terms of your information security boundaries, all system component should be taken into an accounting. Okay. There will be no limitation to the hardware, such as your server, such as your telecommunication equipment only. Okay, so the technology will be containing everything. Okay, so there will be a boundary for information system, which has been particularly defined. For example, network. So in network, we are going to consider internal network, wireless network. Then we have is your operating system, which operating system has been used by the organization, whether it's an Windows operating system, Linux operating system. Okay, then we have is a application, what application is being used, any software management, payroll application, any utilities, any database application, any CRM is being used. Okay, then we have is your data, where what type of data you have been storing, customer record, media record, research and development information. Okay, then we are going to understand about the process, considering the process that what type of how the transportation has been done. Okay, how the process has been informed. Then is your telecommunication equipments like routers, firewalls. Now all this information system, okay, supporting your business. Now this need to be listed. Okay, this need to be included into the organization boundaries of and scope. Now what we have done, we have defined the information security boundaries. Now after that, we are going to define physical security boundaries as well. Now physical security boundaries will be for both internal and external. Okay, which will be including your internal and external security. For then the ISMS will be taking into an accounting, like your sites. Okay, the location where we are going to do an implementation. In that case, is there any outsourced physical sites are there, need to be considered? Is there any service management service agreement they have been considered? So it is very much important for for the auditor to check the interface of an ISMS, where this ISMS need to be is been applicable. They are related to your service level agreement in case there is any outsource of physical sites. Okay, is there, if there is any data processing center which has been outsourced by the organization, again that will be considered. The geographical location, okay, where it has been located, where the center has been located, if it has been owned by the owned by the owner or not. Okay, so once we have all this information, then we go with a definition, defining the ISMS scope. Now when we define the ISMS scope, there are certain, okay, so there are key points which need to be included. First point will be your key characteristic of your organization, then your organization process, then roles and responsibilities related to ISMS. Okay, list of assets, list of information system. Okay, and the detailed reason for all this information, that means your documentation. After setting or after having the boundaries defined, then there are different components in the scope which need to be integrated, and this integration need to be documented as well. So what we are defining now, we are defining the scope based on to the boundaries of an ISMS. So we have an information related to the information system, where this particular ISMS need to be implemented. What is the process of an organization? So with that, we collected the information and we set up an step-by-step approach implementation of an ISMS. Okay, so based on to this, we set up a set up a this scope, key characteristic of the organization, what is the organization process. Okay, who is the responsible person behind to that process. Okay, so there are 50 process. So for 50 process, what each and every person has been taking care of, who is the key manager for all these 50 processes. Okay, so roles and responsibility related to them. Then the list of an asset, we have an asset inventory. From there we can add the control. Then the list of your information system, list where need to be where this implementation need to be done, and this need to be documented. Once we have all this thing, once everything has been set, so what we are going to do, we are going to share the information with the top management. So this is the scope has been defined. Here is the list of the information. So we can go with an implementation. Once we submit the documentation with the stakeholders or with the top management, now top management, what they are going to do, they are going to go with an approval of it. Okay, so we call it as an scope of a statement. Now once the scope of a statement has been submitted, okay, then we wait for an approval. Now there is again one more thing. Okay, we submitted the scope. After that, approval has been received. Now before going with an implementation, we missed, or let's suppose we by mistakenly missed some key process to add into that particular scope. We cannot change the scope and go with an implementation. If we are making any changes into the scope, that need to be evaluated. Again, it need to be approved. If there is change in scope, that need to be evaluated. After evaluation, it need to be approved. And after that, it need to be documented as well. Okay. So again, new scope will be defined and approval, and it will be sent for an approval to the top management. Okay, and that will be stored as a document if there is any change into an ISMS scope. Okay, or change into an existing scope. So we follow this thing. If there is any extension into an scope, if we reduce the scope, again we need to follow the same process. There are multiple cases when organization prefer to define to reduce the scope. In that case, what we are going to do, again submit the new scope to the top management, then there will be an evaluation, then there will be an approval, and then there will be a documentation. Why this thing need to be documented, why this need to be again evaluated and approved? So if there is any extension, okay, so where for example, if organization is been opting for a certification, now during this time, if they don't keep this document, there will be an high risk area that organization may lose the certificate. Okay, so it's totally a responsibility of an organization. So if there is any inclusion into an scope, or if there is any exclusion into an scope, that need to be documented. Again, it need to be evaluated, approved, and it need to be documented as well. Now, let me give you a few pointers as well before going with an implementation. So as of now, what we have understood, we understood about the organization, we understood about the boundaries of the organization, okay, where this ISMS need to be implemented, okay. So we defined the scope. Now, after defining the scope, we gone with an approval, okay. Approval has been given, okay. Let's assume approval has been given by the top management, and after that, can directly we can go with an implementation. Okay, so there is one more thing which has been coming in between to an implementation after the approval. Okay, so that will be your reviewing system. If we want to go with an implementation approach, okay, we have the complete things. Okay, we have the ISMS scope, we have the approval. Now there will be an implementation of an operations. Okay, how you are going to be document all those things? Okay, if you are want to implement a control, who will be the communication channel in between? Whatever controls is going to be implemented, how the this awareness will be given to each and every employee. So we have to keep that plan ready as well before going with an implementation. Okay, so before going with an implementation, we select the controls, we select the communication path as well, communication channel as well. So what controls is been implemented, where it has been implemented, connect with that particular manager, or that's particular, you can say, key process manager. Let's give him an information about this new control so he can set a plan ready. So there will be an awareness training program in that department. Okay, so this thing need to be documented as well. So once we have that information, once we have that plan ready, after that we have to make one more plan ready, the plan for your internal audit. So first we define and establish of an ISMS. Then we go with an implementation and operation of an ISMS. And after that, we go with an monitor. Okay, how it has been monitored with the help of an internal auditment. Okay, so we monitor all the countermeasure. We analyze the control. We analyze the evaluation as well. Okay, so this internal auditing regarding to an audit or to an lead auditor, we are going to discuss into our next class in detail. Okay, so as of now, we are simply understanding the process for the implementation and process after the implementation. Once this control has been implemented, after that, that need to be monitored as well into a continuous mode. Okay, and who is going to do this? Your internal auditor is going to do this. And after once the internal audit um, uh, create a report out of it, that report need to be submitted to your top management. And what top management they are going to do? They are going to review it. Okay, so why they are going to review? So we can maintain and improve if there is any particular non-conformatives. So there will be a continual improvement. So this is how the process works for an auditor. If it is an lead auditor, if it is a lead implementer. Now, one more thing. When we are discussing about the scope, okay, so there are 93 controls in total. Okay, so it's totally depending on to an business or to an organization. After looking into the structure of the organization, after understanding the business of an organization, so out of this 93 controls, which control need to be adopted or which control need to be not adopted. Okay, so for this, let's suppose out of 93 controls, we are adopting 50 controls and we are not adopting the rest of the 43 controls. Okay, so what we do, we present a statement of applicability, SOA. In statement of applicability, we give a complete information about the clause, that which clause, which particular control is been in, what is that control, control number, control name. Okay, then the scope. Under to this scope, we are adopting this particular control. Okay, the control has been added. So this information has been presented into your statement of applicability. If we are not adopting the control, again we have to give a reason why we are not adopting, and that reason will be given into your statement of applicability. Number of that control, name of that control, why that control is not been adopted. Let me give you an example. So in many of the countries, your background verification is not a mandatory requirement. Okay, so at that point, we cannot let's suppose it's not a mandatory requirement, so that control will not be eligible in that particular specific region. Okay, so why we want that control in place? So if there is no background verification, that means we are not adopting the control for an background verification. So give an information, there is no background verification required, so we are not adopting this control. So if we are removing it, we are not adopting, again we are presenting an information. In 2020, 2021 until 2022, many of the organization has given a permission to work from home. Okay, work from and remote. Now they have been asking all the employees to come into the premises. The work from home has been eliminated now. There is no work from home policies. Now again, no remote working policy. Okay, every employee has been coming into the premises and working from that premises. So revoking this particular control. Okay, so we don't want this control. Again, give an information into your statement of applicability. No control has been adopted. We removed this control, presented into your SOA. Okay, so after having a scope, after having a list of an control, we go with an SOA as well. Okay, so security policies, define the security policies, then go with the risk management, and then present your SOA. Now this is what? This is your documentation. Okay, the documentation of the record which have been stored into the premises, and onto the base of these, if there is any internal or external audit, so they can review all this document. When we go with the identification, when we analyze the internal external environment, we want and resource as well, isn't it? Okay, so if we want to do an implementation, so we require some resources as in to work on that project. So we required a people, a implementer or auditor to work on that project. Now that person need to be eligible as well. He should be having the necessary knowledge regarding to an implementation, regarding to your auditing. Okay, he should be having the knowledge regarding to your information security as well, because we are talking about an information security. Okay, information security management system. He should be having a basic understanding of it. So what controls, what additional things, security things need to be added. Okay, the second is your particular second thing will be your the information or the data to be provided to that person, so he can for example, if I was been hired as an external auditor or as an external implementer by your organization, so your organization is having a resource. Now you are going to give me an information about your business, information about the data. After that, the equipment will be provided. So I am bringing my laptop. That laptop need to be connected into a network. Okay, so additional to that, I require some of the tools as well, so they are going to provide me an equipment. Then the you can say ICTs will be provided, information and communication technology systems. Okay, transportations will be provided, your finance will be discussed. After that, the partners or the suppliers regarding to that will be discussed. So this will be determined when we go with a resource for the ISMS implementer. Okay, so there are certain things which organization I will be considering. After that, the project plan of an ISMS will be discussed. Okay, so how many resource, what cost, what will be the delay, what will the risk, what will the guide for the project plan. Okay, now as we discussed yesterday, it's not an overnight process. Implementation of ISMS is not an overnight process. Generally, it takes between 6 to 12 months to go with an implementation. If you are opting and fast this your fast track approach, then again for that also 7 to 12 weeks. 7 to 12 weeks has been required. Again, it's in condition, particularly if there is a small organization or it's a small scope is been bounded, then only you can adopt the fast pace approach. Okay, so there are a few initiative related to the project. How many resources will be required for this project? What will be the cost for this project? Okay, if there is any risk related to this project, how we are going to manage those risks. So a complete guide will be presented or projected by the implementer. So we keep a record as well, writing record for any assumption which will be made during and planning. We keep a track as well of the decision made by the stakeholder or made by this particular implementer. Again, if we have a record, we can present it as a justification behind whenever it has been required. Okay, we conduct a project review, which includes your scope, which include your content, which include the data as well. We provide a certain benchmark to measure the progress of the control, to measure the progress of the project as well. Okay, so when we talk about a project plan, so there are few things which will be included into your project plan, like your key person, key risk area, your references, cost, time, performance will be measured, estimated cost, project start date, project end date. Okay, work breakdown structure, we call it as a WBS. We formulate everything and give present this particular content in front of your top management. Okay, under the project character inputs given by the top management. Okay, organization charge, risk management plan. Okay, so we are not going to do a risk assessment. Okay, so with the help of a risk management plan, we are going to understand on what basis this organization is doing a gap assessment. Okay, so we review all this project objective in order to this particular to success the factor. We review the proposal method as well. We estimate the necessary structure to. We review the project documentation. After we review all the project plan, then we go with an implementation. Okay, so this is how we start with an implementation and implement the ISMS into the organization. So there are few things which need to be uh, identified. First is your understanding of an ISO, why this organization want to adopt particularly ISO 27001. Okay, then what will be the roles and responsibility of a lead implementer. Okay, so understanding the roles and responsibility, based on to that, the person will be hired or the person task will be provided to that particular person. Then that implementer is going to understand about the management system. He is going to understand about the system standard as well. Okay, so why this organization want to have an implementation of an ISMS? What will be the benefits of the implementation of an ISMS for the organization? Okay, so there will be a defined path, first to establish, then to implement, then to monitor, then to maintain it, the ISMS. So when we go with an establishment of an ISMS, so there will be a deadline. Okay, we need to understand the mission, the objective, the strategies. Then we set up and boundaries, where we want to add up this, where we want to have this implementation of an ISMS. We define a scope, and then we start with an implementation.